Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode 4 of the ARMAnet tutorial series. To recap a little bit about the goal of these tutorials are targeted to people that have never used the Eden editor before. Okay, this is not for hopefully the people that have used the Eden editor can find useful information in it, but it's really not targeted for the people that already know how to build missions and build scenarios and whatnot. Um, there's a lot of different ways to do things in the Eden editor. How to set objectives, how to build scenarios, missions versus single player stuff, co-op stuff, multiplayer stuff, kind of multiplayer versus stuff, competitive things. Um, there's a lot of tools, a lot of functions that are in the Eden editor that allow you to really build whatever you want. Um, the goal of this tutorial series, though, is not to teach you everything about the Eden editor. Um, it's to teach you how to do specific, smaller scale things that can allow those of you that have never used the Eden editor before to build something simple and enjoy by yourself or with friends. Okay. Now, primarily my experience with mission building comes in the form of the kind of co-op versus AI side of things. I have built some versus scenarios and some single player stuff, but and the single player stuff generally is kind of how you would build a co-op mission, just with less playable slots, and you would actually link up AI to you as a group and whatnot. But more on that later. But um, again, to kind of reiterate, the goal of this particular tutorial series is to show you one example of how to accomplish certain tasks and functions. Okay. Um, I may show you how to set an objective in this episode, and there's 3 or 4 other ways to do that. There may even be 3 or 4 newer, better ways to do it. I've been playing this series going all the way back to Operation Flashpoint, and the tips and tricks I've learned have been from other builders, from YouTube series, from forums, to everything in between. I wish I could credit everyone that I've learned things from, but I can't. What I can tell you though is that everything I've learned from the community. I am by no means an Eden expert or a ARMA mission building expert. I know how to do what I do, and I'm hoping to share some of that stuff to those of you that are really coming at this for the first time. Now, our previous videos, I want to apologize for episodes 1, 2, and 3. There were some audio issues. Apparently, my game audio was turned up, and I just wasn't hearing that through my headphones quite as loudly as the rest of you were, which is unfortunate. So I apologize if any of my descriptions and instructions were, kind of overpowered by some of the audio, especially when I was close to the water like I am now. For this episode, I have cut game audio completely. I told you guys in the comments of the previous videos that I would kill the game audio going forward, so shouldn't have any audio issues for this episode. I have also removed some of the overlays that the last video was recorded with, not only video of myself talking, but the ARMAnet overlays as well, so that you can see the full UI. Again, apologize about those initial errors, but the more we kind of go down this tutorial journey, hopefully we'll tighten up certain aspects of it, and by the time we reach the end, um, there'll be kind of a good basis here for kind of a good repository of information for building a mission of your own and being able to play and deploy that mission with your friends and enjoy it. So let's get started. Let's do a quick recap. As you remember, we are currently in the Eden editor, by the way. If you remember, we set about building a small operation. Um, the summary of that operation is that Blue 4 um, arrives on this beach. We threw a couple ammo boxes out for setting our characters up. We have 2 playable slots right here, a playable Rifleman 1 and a playable Rifleman 2. They are part of Alpha 1-1. That's the Blue 4 group. You'll see them up here in the upper left. And then we have some Op4 elements listed here. Those Op4 elements are, if we slide right over here, They're at this location. If I go to the map, this is Camp Maxwell. Here's our start point. You'll see I've got 2 marks set, one for mission start, one for exfiltration. We set those marks out when we were initially sketching the mission in episode 1. We have an objective area mark here just to kind of denote where our bad guys are at. Let's kind of recap here. It looks like we got a patrol, a 2-man patrol here that is patrolling the perimeter, and you can see their waypoints shown here as they're patrolling around. These particular dashed ellipses here to show there's a little bit of a random placement with the waypoint itself, so that it's not super predictable. We'll widen this one out a little bit. Okay, so it gives you a little bit of randomness to the patrol that should allow even the mission builder to not totally know what to expect. They don't know if the enemy is going to be over here or on this side or whatnot. So again, it adds a little bit of complexity to the mission for the mission builder, and that's something always to think about. Is that as a mission builder, you want to make the mission exciting for yourself and not built in a way where you just know the location of everyone. We've placed some enemies down inside of Camp Maxwell. Let's kind of push in here. You'll see our 2-man patrol here. They're going to be tracking up along these waypoints that you see. So they'll walk up here, over here, down here, and again, there's a random placement associated with that. We have a couple vehicles in here just for ambiance. We have some guards posted at some of the entryways. Got one down here. Again, you can set these up and however you want. If you remember in the previous episodes, you can go into your objects, your asset manager here, go into objects, go to Op4, and then scroll down to any of your playable unit factions, so FIA or CSAT or whatnot, and choose those assets. Now, I highly recommend to, if you're just joining this series, to go back and start from episode 1, because this is going to be a linear experience, and I am sharing the projects that we complete each episode with the actual episode. So in the description on this video, you'll have a link to the projects you can download and kind of really dig in yourself and see how it's being done. Now, inside this building here, let's go ahead and go inside. You'll see we have a couple of things. Looks like we have a little laptop here, gun on the table. Again, a lot of this stuff's just for ambiance. Here is another table with some assets. Again, just to kind of dress things up. You can do this however you want. You can put furniture in here, computers, whatever you want. We have one guard in here, and then we have kind of our officer, the kind of commander, the insurgent commander, or whatever you want to call him. I got a guard here at the front door. Okay, so we have kind of a setup. We have our start point with Blue 4 and our mission objective area with Op 4. Obviously, that could be reversed if you prefer to play as an Op 4 unit. That would be reversed. You can add in an independent faction into this, and then we could get into things like the tributes and who the independents are friendly to and who they're aggressive towards. But we'll get into all that later. We're starting this series. The crux of the series and what we're going to accomplish with this particular ARMAnet tutorial series is building a small co-op mission with 2 factions, Blue 4 and Op 4. The objective of this particular mission currently is to kill this officer and or possibly sweep the area, but the primary objective so far is to kill this officer. We may add a secondary objective to this mission and this episode. So let's first get in and kind of see what we're dealing with. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about if I go over here and to my asset manager and go to systems, there's a lot of systems that you can employ here, and a lot of these things bring in certain control aspects to your scenario, such as respawn positions, vehicle respawns, creating tasks, uh, certain types of game modes. You can alter the environment in certain ways. You can place down persistent effects. There's a lot of stuff here. I mean, obviously can't go through all of it. We're going to focus on just the things we need for this mission. Okay, so let's go ahead and start um, by talking about tasks. Okay, so generally when creating a task or an objective, I typically call them objectives, and it doesn't really matter where on the map you set these, but I'm going to kind of show you what that's meant by creating a task. And there are a few ways to do this, believe it or not. I do it the way I've always done. So with creating a task, the first thing I'm going to do is grab the create task module, and I'm going to set that down. The next thing I'm going to do is create a task state. And then depending on what the task is, generally, I grab a trigger and I set that down. Okay. You'll notice I kind of set these down in a little bit of an order. That's generally how I do it for organization's sake. Um, if I go to create task and I double click on that module, there's some settings here that we're going to get into. If I go to set task state, there's you can set a state for the task state and whether it shows a notification or not. And then the trigger itself, which you can define um, certain conditions on which the trigger is activated. Okay, so um, the way you can think about this flow is this trigger needs to be activated by some set of conditions. And if you saw what I just did, I just right clicked on it and connect sync to, because you want to sync this trigger to the set task state, and you want to sync this to the create task. You could think about this reverse too. I'm just showing you the way in which I think about the connections for my own organization, the way my brain functions. Um, so for the trigger, once you define what conditions activate that trigger, we can connect that to the task state. When those conditions are met and the trigger switches or activates, it will then activate this set task state and set it in whatever state you've set for it here. So for example, let's say I put succeeded, okay, and I hit OK. Oh, and I have show notification. What's going to happen is when the conditions for this trigger are met, maybe it's blowing up a building, maybe it's killing a bad guy. When the conditions are met, this trigger will activate, send a signal to this module, and a notification will pop up saying that you succeeded. So again, if your objective is to kill a bad guy, as soon as you do that and the trigger activates, a notification is going to pop up saying that you succeeded. That will, and then once it's known that the task has been successfully carried out, it will sync to this next module, carry on to this next module, which is the additional information. Now again, you can think of this flow as going this way. Some people kind of dive into the create task part of this first and then go to the set task. Again, totally valid. I'm just showing you the way I do it. So in here, you could set things like the task ID, what the title is. Maybe the title is kill bad guy. And then in here, you could put a description of that. You can choose whether this module that you've set down here, you can choose whether that module is shows up where you've placed it, or should it show up by a marker, i.e. this objective area marker over here or whatnot. Again, we're going to go ultra simple here. I'm just going to have it disabled. We don't need to know, where the enemy is or where the marker is. It's not important for this. We just need to be notified that our objective was complete. Okay. So I know that may have sounded a bit like a mouthful for those of you that are very new to the Eden editor, but let's open up a secondary project so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So I'm going to go to open up here at the top left, and my window here of things I currently have built and ready to go, ready. And obviously you see I got a lot of folders here with a lot of a lot of things that I've built over the years. You can really fill this up with a lot of stuff. But here in my main missions folder, we're working with the ARMAnet Tutorial 01 series. So we're going to open ARMAnet triggers example. All right, so ARMAnet triggers. I'm here in the virtual reality kind of world, and I've got a couple things happening. So let's zoom in and see what we got. We've got a playable Blue 4 soldier. You'll know he's playable because his icon here has got the two red lines. Actually, the two red lines mean that he's playable and he's assigned as the player. If I was to just make him playable, it would be two blue lines, which is fine, but we're just making him the player for testing purposes here. Now, let's kind of see what I've got laid out here. You'll notice I got a building, a generator, a car, and other things over there. So we've laid out a couple things. We got our Blue Force soldier. That's me. Okay, I'm the playable character here. I've got a table with some secret documents on it. Okay. Over here, I have a one-story multi-room structure. I have a truck, a power generator, and inside this building, I've got kind of an officer, an enemy officer, an Op 4 officer. Now, what I want this mission to be is I want Blue 4 to have to learn the location. Let's pretend this building is like 2 miles away, okay, and we don't know where it's at. We want to be able to pick up some intel. That intel will tell us where this building is at. We will then go over to that building. We will take out the officer. We will kill him as a primary objective, and our secondary objective will be to blow the power generator and destroy it. Okay? Now, so although I know this is visible from our playable character's current position, let's pretend this whole structure over here is like 2 miles away behind a whole bunch of trees and behind a mountain or whatever. For the sake of this demonstration, though, we want to put them side by side, pretty close, so you can get a sense of what I refer to as mission flow. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about this this intel here. We want the intel to show us the location of this building here, okay? Because let's pretend it's a long way away. So what we're going to do first and foremost is we're going to set down this document here, okay? You can usually find that stuff when you go to your assets manager and you go to props. You can go to you can search for stuff, so you could search for secret documents, but you can also search for intel. So we'll do that now. Intel, there's quite a few things. There's secret documents, photos, a little folder full of documents, wallets, etc. You can place any of that down and it will totally work for this. So we have our documents. So when we place those down, we're going to give it a variable name, okay? It's going to come up empty. Give it a variable name. So we're going to call this secret info, okay? All one word, no spaces. We're going to call it secret info, okay? And it's on the table. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our triggers, grab a trigger, and we're going to plop that down. And I already have the trigger here. And inside this trigger, I have this condition here, so I'm going to change something. So change secret info. So I got a couple things here. So when you plop down the trigger and you open it up, you're going to have a condition field, an on activation and on deactivation field. You're going to be able to choose what type of trigger it is, who can activate it, and whether it's repeatable on the server, et cetera, et cetera. So what we're going to do is set the condition first, okay? We want the condition to be essentially when this document is picked up. We named the document secret info. So we are going to type in to the condition field of the trigger is null, and then there's going to be a space there, secret info, semicolon. Okay. that's going to tell this trigger to activate when this document is picked up. Okay. The next thing is when it's picked up or on the activation of the trigger, we want something to happen. So with this, we want to have a marker um, kind of denote the position of this building. Okay, we need a marker out here. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and see here. We'll go here to our house. We'll go to markers, which are right here, and we will grab a marker. I've already set one down over here, but for the sake of starting over with this, I want to kind of start from the beginning here. Okay, so here's our house that we set up with our bad guy and our generator and our car. We're going to choose a map icon. In the case of this, I'm going to use this little house icon right here. I'm going to plop it down, and I'm going to double click on it. You can set a color for it. You can give it a variable name. Then the variable name is important. Let's just call it safe house because this is where our bad guy's at. This is his safe house. Okay. And then for the text that pops up, we're going to call it secret bad guy location. Okay. And we'll hit OK. So you'll see here we got our blue house, secret bad guy location, just what we wanted. Now we don't want this to be visible at the start of the mission because we don't want to give the location away until you pick up the intel. So we're going to double click on it, and on its alpha, its transparency, we're going to set it to 0. Okay. Now when I hit OK, it's going to disappear because we've set the visibility to 0. Now you can always get it again by looking over here on your entities and going to markers, and you'll see it listed right here. You can double click on it, change its attributes, make it visible again, etc. Okay. So we're making it invisible because we want the mission, when it starts, we want the mission or the players to not know where this location is here, okay? They need to learn that in the course of the mission, okay? So let's shoot back over here. So we have a document that we placed down that we've called secret info and its variable name. We have a trigger that we placed down that has a condition that's labeled is null space secret info semicolon. Okay. We have then placed a marker at the location called secret bad guy location. Now what we need to do is tell the player that when this document is picked up, two things are going to happen. The first thing is that when the document's picked up, it's going to make that icon, that house icon, the secret location icon that we placed over here and that we currently have set as invisible, we want to make it visible, okay? So sort of like turning on a light switch. And to do that, we are going to do, so we called, if you remember, this icon here that we placed by this house, if I open that back up, we made its variable name safe house. That's important because in this trigger, what we're going to do is we are going to do this bit of code here, okay? It's going to be quotation, safe house, quotation. Okay, so the word safe house is in quotation marks. That correlates to the variable name of the marker you set down. And then we're going to put set marker alpha 1. The reason it says that is because that means we're turning the transparency to 1 or on, okay? If this was set marker alpha 0, it would set it invisible, okay, and we would see no change, okay? Since we want it to turn on and become visible, we'll set marker alpha to 1, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. And then we have a semicolon there to close out this bit of instructions. Now the next set of instructions is a hint. Hints will be small bits of text that pop up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen most likely. And for a hint, you just type hint, space, quotation mark, and whatever your hint is. So we currently have, we'll type something here. We'll put the secret bad guy location has been revealed. period, quotation. Okay, that's all you got to do. So then we just hit OK. So what's going to happen here is the player will pick up the intel. They're going to flip the switch on this trigger, thus making the marker on the map visible on where the secret location is, and they'll get a hint that says the secret bad guy location has been revealed. Okay. Now, to make this work, we have to do one more thing. We have to connect the trigger with whatever object is being picked up. Okay. In this case, I'm going to go connect, sync to, and connect it to the secret documents, just like that. Okay, you see this blue line connecting them. Okay, so that's the first part. So why don't we test that? So I'm going to hit play. Now, here I am. If I go to my map, you'll notice there is no location icon for this bad guy's hiding safe house, his hiding spot. Okay, we don't know where it's at. Imagine this is one of the larger ARMA maps. But as soon as I walk over to this, I get the option on my scroll menu to take the intel. I'll take it. Boom. We just got taken to our map, and now we have an icon visible, secret bad guy location. And you'll see there's a hint up here that says secret bad guy location has been revealed. Okay, so now we know where the bad guys are at. Okay. Now the next part of this is we want to be able to go over there, kill the bad guy, and destroy the generator, and also get notifications for that. Okay. Now, one other thing is I'm going to include this trigger setup here as well in the description of the YouTube video, so you can kind of see how I've connected these. So let's start with the next thing. Let's talk about our bad guy over here. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to go is over here to him, and I'm going to double click on him, and he has a variable name too. Okay, so much like we named the safe house, and we named the secret documents, or secret info, here we need to give it a variable name. This is a unique system name, and you can only have one per entity in a mission. Okay, so if I call this guy bad guy, I can only have one entity called bad guy. If I have another one, I need to call it bad guy 2 or bad guy 3, etc. Okay, so we've called him bad guy. Okay, that's his variable name. So come over here and we're going to set a couple things down. If you remember back in my systems asset over here, in Intel, we have a couple things we can set. We're going to set a create task, which is right here. We're going to set a task state right here. And then I will set a trigger right here. Okay. Now, if you remember, this is essentially not much different on how we set this up, but there's just some added variables. Okay, we talked a little bit about this one when we were back over in our mission file. All these are linked together with the sync to function. You'll see the blue line here. So the first trigger condition is exclamation point alive space bad guy semicolon. Now, what this essentially is doing is we have our variable name of our bad guy, which was bad guy. So he's there. Okay, that denotes him specifically. If that bad guy was called bad guy 2, then we would want this to be bad guy 2. Okay, for now we got it labeled as bad guy. The exclamation point alive is checking to see if he is alive. Okay, if he is not alive, this trigger will flip. It'll activate. Okay, when it activates, that activation is going to travel to the set task state. I have it set to succeed because the mission objective is to succeed in killing the bad guy. And I do want a notification. And then that links up with our create task here, which is going to be a couple things I'll walk through here. Task ID is what it refers or what shows up in the on your tasks menu on your map. So I have it just labeled as high value target or HVT. This particular high value target objective is called kill bad guy, pretty self-explanatory. And the description I have is primary objective, kill the bad guy. Okay. Destination, I have it set to disabled because I don't need these markers or anything to denote where the bad guy is. I already know where he's at because we set this whole scenario here where you pick up the intel and you get alerted where the safe house is. Okay. So after we've set these three up, we need to connect them to our playable character. Okay, because these are going to be objectives or tasks that he has to complete. So in the case of this one, I'm going to go to my create task and I'm going to go to connect, sync to, and I'm going to drag it over here. I'll do that now. So I'll go to connect, sync to, connect it. Okay. This means that this task right here has been created for this character. Okay. If I had, let's say I'm building a scenario for me and my friend, and I've got a couple other playable characters out here. Let's say both of these are playable because I have two buddies that are going to play this mission with me. Okay. Then they will also be synced to this task. You can sync it to as many people as you want. That way, any of them can complete this objective. Okay. Not just the one person that was synced. Any of them can accomplish it. So for the sake of this mission and simplicity, I'm going to connect it to our guy. So now we have a bad guy over here labeled bad guy. We have a trigger that when it detects that our bad guy, denoted here by his variable name, is no longer alive, the trigger will activate, thus showing that we've succeeded in killing the bad guy. And we will then have a notification pop up that says objective, kill the bad guy, successfully completed. Again, you can think of this flow in reverse. You can always create the task first, set its state, and then create the trigger activation. I always think about it backwards. It's just how my brain works. And then I've connected it to our playable character. So why don't we play what we've got so far, okay? So we'll go ahead and load in. Now, I go up to my map because we need to find out where the bad guy is. We don't have him on the map. We take the intel. Boom. Intel added. Secret bad guy location revealed. Okay, so now we know where this guy's at. Oh, he's over here. Okay, that's where our map is telling us to go. So we're going to run over here. If I go to my map real quick and go to tasks, you'll see the kill bad guy task is listed there. And I can assign it, I can locate it, etc. Primary objective is to kill the bad guy. Okay, so we can go over here to our building. We know he's inside, just for the sake of this mission. All right, we're going to go ahead and breach the door in 3, 2, 1, execute. Pushing in. He's dead. Oh, no, he's not. He's taking a few bullets. Okay, he's dead. So when I killed him, you'll see the task complete icon popped up at the top, the notification. It said kill bad guy, and it showed a success. If I go here, you'll see now that in our task, the kill bad guy is grayed out, and there's a check mark there for success. Okay, so that's one objective complete. Okay, so we're going to go back out so we know that's functioning properly. Now the next thing, we want to destroy this generator. Okay, we want to make that like a secondary description or a secondary objective. Now, if you remember with our bad guy, we set his variable name as bad guy. We're going to do the exact same thing to the generator. We're going to double click on it, set a variable name as generator. I like to be kind of self-explanatory with these. And we'll come back over here. And once again, just like with our HVT, we set down the trigger, the task state, and the create task. We're going to do it again. And a lot of times, for each new objective I place, I'll just grab these, Control C, and then Control V to paste them. Okay. But what you have to do on these is change some stuff. So now we want to check if the generator is alive. Okay, you can think of alive as dead, alive and dead as destroyed and undestroyed if you want. So we're going to put the variable name of the generator as generator, and we're going to do a check to see if it is alive. Once it is not, meaning once I've destroyed it, we will get a succeeded notification. And the task state for this, it's a secondary objective, and the task title is called destroy generator. And we'll call this secondary objective is to destroy the generator. Okay. Those once again once we've got that, we're going to click there. We're going to go to connect, sync to, and connect it to our playable character. So now we got three things connected to our playable character. Um, we have the Intel grab, which you actually don't have to connect to the player. So I didn't do it this way. And this is again why I'm including this project or this scenario file. But we have one task here where he's going to reveal the location of the bad guy. We have another task here that's going to define our primary objective of killing the bad guy, and a secondary objective here, which is destroying the generators. Both of these objectives are linked to our playable character, so we should be able to hit play on this and play through the entire kind of mock mission. Okay, so first things first, I move up. Let's say I'm raiding the body of a dead enemy, or I find this secret document inside of another building that we just cleared. I go to take intel. Boom, there's the map location. Obviously, this will make a lot more sense on an actual terrain and not this virtual reality environment. The secret bad guy location has been revealed. Now I know where they're at, so I'm going to come over here. We'll go ahead and speed this up a little bit. Okay, so we are moving in to the building. We know our bad guy's in here. We open, we see him, we fire, he's dead. We get the notification at the top of the screen, kill bad guy, task completed. We search this the rest of the rooms. We know our secondary objective is to to destroy the power generator. This building looks site secure, so we're coming out. We're going to search around for the generator. Oh, here's our generator. We know this is our secondary objective because if I go to the map and go to our tasks again, we have successfully killed the bad guy, but we still need to destroy the generator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the generator here. I'm going to put an explosive charge down. There's our charge. I can set a timer here, or I can just touch it off. We're going to go ahead and get it a safe distance. What do you think? Think that's safe enough? We'll come here. We'll scroll with our mouse wheel here, and we'll go touch off bomb. When we touch this bomb off, we're going to get a notification at the top saying that the generator has been destroyed. And there it is. So we accomplished all three of our goals. We used we had to sweep a building, grab this intel in order to reveal the location of our target. Once we knew the location of our target, we went over to the building, eliminated the commander, and then did the secondary objective, which was destroy the generator, and that all worked out. Okay, so you see how that kind of creates a little bit of a miniature, sort of kind of a small microcosm of a mission flow. Okay. So what we can do is, again, I've included this as something you can use in your mission. So for ease of use, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab everything, and I'm going to Control C to copy it, and I'm going to reopen our mission, our tutorial mission we were building. And if you remember, we have our objective area here, our start point over here. What I'm actually going to do, and I do this often sometimes when I'm building missions, because you're going to build stuff that you save for later and you reuse. I'm going to paste the stuff I copied from the previous mission file, the triggers example. I'm going to just paste it out here in the ocean. Okay, there it is. So there's a couple things I need and don't need from this. I don't need the playable character anymore. I'm just going to lose him. But I may want this documents thing, so I'm going to move it over here for a moment, over here towards our playable characters. I may want the primary objective, so I'm going to move it here for a moment. What I want to focus on now, though, is our task that we created. So in the case of this, we have our secondary objective of taking out the generator, as well as the primary objective of taking out the commander. Okay, so here's our commander. I have two playable characters here, as you remember, because it's going to be for me and my buddy. I'm going to highlight both of us, and I'm going to right click connect sync to, and you see I can connect two lines at the same time. I'm going to connect it to this task. Okay, so that's our objective one, kill the bad guy. Next thing I'm going to do is over here, I'm going to grab these guys again, connect, sync to, destroy the generator. Okay, now over here on this beach where we're starting at, you'll see the assets right here actually that we copied and pasted from our previous mission. Obviously, we do not want them here. We're going to move them in just a minute. I don't want you to worry about that right now. But there's this little shed over here, which is kind of cool. We're going to move our table inside there, and we're going to move our documents inside there. Okay. Okay, we'll just put it right here. We'll grab this whole thing, place it in here. Maybe we'll put a maybe there's a an unarmed bad guy over here. He's just kind of in here keeping track. Maybe this is some little outpost that the enemy has for some odd reason. Again, this could be anything. Maybe he comes out here on his four-wheeler once a week and waits for a shipment of arms to come in by boat, and he's staying here. Maybe he's got an old transport truck that's out here as well that he'll transport the arms from the beach on up to the main objective area. Okay, you can develop your own scenarios for this. Okay, um, so our secret documents are in there. Next thing we want to do, we don't need this house anymore. Okay, um, we don't need the bad guy anymore. But remember, his name is his variable name was bad guy, so that's good to remember. We don't need the truck, and we don't need the generator for the moment. Okay, now we've set up a task for the generator and a task for the bad guy. But what we want to do is go back over to our mission area where we've already got a lot of stuff set up. Okay, so if I go inside this building, we already have a bad guy right here. Okay, what we're going to do is double click on him and name him and his variable name. We're going to name him bad guy. Okay, so now when he's dead, it's going to flip that trigger and thus activate that successful completion notification, okay, that we want to have pop up when we kill him. Okay. Now we have this secondary task to take out the generator. So what we could do is, if that's going to be our objective, is we could find a location for the generator. We could go to our props over here. We could type in generator. It'll pop up a few things. You just find the one you want, place it down, and then you could double click on it and name it generator and the variable name. And now when that generator is destroyed, we'll get a notification like that. But what if you go, you know what? I don't want it to be that. I don't want it to be that. What if we don't want it to be a generator at all? What if we want the objective to be to destroy this fuel truck? Well, in that situation, you could double click on the fuel truck, name its variable name something. So we'll call it fuel truck. We'll go back over to our triggers we have set down, and where we had generator for this one here, so you see destroy generator, we may want that to be destroy fuel truck. Okay, actually let me change this down here, destroy the fuel, oops. Okay, and then I just remember it's still checking to see if the generator is alive. We changed that fuel truck's variable name to fuel truck, so we just want to change this to fuel truck. Okay, just like that. So now we've just very quickly changed the objective from a generator to a fuel truck. Pretty straightforward. Last things that we have to do with this scenario is we want the objective area to be revealed. Okay, so if you remember, one of the things we did is we had a marker over in that first scenario. Okay, the marker was called safe house, and essentially when we picked up this secret document, the safe house location would be revealed. We want to change that up. So with this, we're going to go into the trigger that's connected to the secret documents, and we're going to change the name of this from safe house to objective area. Okay, we'll just call it OBJAREA. Objective area, set marker alpha to 1, and we'll call it the secret objective area has been revealed. Okay, now what that means is we need to hide this objective area marker from at mission start. So we need to go in here. We're going to change its variable name to OBJAE or AREA, which is objective area, which is what we put in that trigger. And then the text that pops up will have objective area. And then we want to turn the transparency to 0. Remember, we want the set marker alpha to be set to 0 so that when we pick up, and you'll see that disappeared, so that when we pick up the folder, it will turn it on, okay? And we'll make it visible, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and edit the loadout of my playable character here too, because I just want to really quickly include some explosives because we know we have an objective for that. And now I also put these ammo boxes down, so that could be something. Now let's say that I actually want for the playable characters to actually start in a boat out here. What you could do with that is I just grab my playable characters, I drag them to the boat over its icon, drop them in there, and then I can take the boat itself out in here to the water and set it. Okay, so now we'll start here. We'll push up to shore, we'll disembark the boat, take out this objective here, learn the location of our primary objective area, which is here, and then we will head to that objective area. We will destroy the fuel truck, kill the bad guy, and we should be mission complete. Now, for the sake of this mission and being able to show you how all this happens, I'm going to turn off my player's damage. So it's kind of like God mode or invincibility. I just want to put that so that I can a little bit more easily show you the objective flow without being killed. Okay, and this helps when you're building missions and testing them. Okay, so we'll go ahead and try out this mission. Again, I don't have game audio turned on right now, so the game is going to be in a state of silence. So, okay, we spawned in. We're on our boat. Okay, so I'm going to push up here with our boat. We're driving to the objective area. And again, this could be at night. You can do this all special forces like, where it's at night. You're using your night vision, all that good stuff. Approaching the objective area here by boat at night would be kind of a cool bit of ambiance to add to it. I'm going to get out. Obviously, if that was not AI, it would be my co-op buddy, or maybe it's 5 buddies. I approach this building. I see a bad guy inside the window. I'm going to engage him. He's dead. Maybe. I have to check it. Nope, he's escaping. Must be that really advanced CSAT body armor. We're pretty sure he's dead. We're going to dead check him. Push into the building. Oh, you know what? We just found some intelligence here at this site. So we are going to, and sometimes with these intels, by the way, you kind of got to move around. You're kind of get them to show up on your scroll menu up here in the upper left. I'll take the intel. Boom. Okay. Objective area just popped up on the map. So now we know where we got to go. We know we're over here. Now we got to go over here. All right, so we know where the objective area is. We've just picked up our intel. We just inserted by boat. Now we're over here. We know we've got to get pretty good ways over here to the objective area. So, you know, maybe one of the first things we do is we take one of these trucks here. Again, you can place this stuff as ambiance. A little weird playing without sound, so bear with me. If you see me rotating the camera in interesting ways, it's because I play with the Track IR system. If you don't know what Track IR is, it's a head tracking device that allows you to kind of look around a little bit using your head, and I find it really helpful for ARMA, primarily for piloting, because I do a lot of like piloting helos and stuff, but it also works for you know, moving around the ground. Allows you to move forward holding your gun one direction but looking another direction. It's pretty handy. Um, all right, so again, we're proceeding forward here, heading towards our ultimate objective area, which is on top of that hill there to my 1 o'clock. Um, Remember, I do have the player character here set to have no damage. Obviously, that's not very realistic, but I'm just doing that to show you mission flow so I don't get over here and take a stray bullet or something and die and make this tutorial a little bit more frustrating to rewatch. So again, I've randomized the actual sentry patrol that moves around the objective. So I kind of don't know where they're at any given time. So it's very likely I could be killed, even though the one that built this mission. So uh, that's why we're on kind of God mode here, invincibility mode, so that we can just better show the flow of this mission. So we should be coming up here. We'll be getting to our objective soon. If I'm tracking right, our objective area should be up on top of this mountain up here. And you could put random patrols in between the objective area and your start point, to kind of make your journey to this objective have some action, some firefights and stuff. Um, so I'm going to move up here. We're at objective area. Again, I am invincible, so we'll kind of play it as I'm stuck in a bush, of course. We'll play it as if I'm sweeping the area, but just know I'm doing this a lot um, sloppier than you would want to do it. You're going to want to proceed carefully and take out these hostiles appropriately. So I'm going to sweep in here. We know we got some guards. Um, there's one. He's dead. We have eyes on our fuel truck. So right here, we know, if we go to our map, we know under tasks here. I didn't set the task for the fuel truck. That's good to know. We know that the fuel truck is a secondary objective. Okay, so right here, you enter this area, you might want to call out, "Hey, I got eyes on the fuel truck." Now it's a secondary objective, so you probably don't want to worry about it just yet. You're kind of hunting down the enemy. Um, Take a shooter around out there. We're going to proceed around here again, clearing the entire space. Thankfully, I'm in God mode here because I have lots of bad guys around, but we're just doing this kind of sloppily. Um, might have hostiles on the roof of this. We'll just clear that real quick. Oh yeah, he would have got us. There he is. He's done. Maybe we'll come in from the roof here. Primary objective is to kill that boss, if you remember. So I might move down, kill his guard. There he is. He's dead. Up, we got our notification. Bad guy's been killed. Okay, so primary objective is complete. You could search this area for any additional intel. But I'm going to come outside here again. We're being careful. We don't know if we killed everybody. Primary objective is complete. We still have the secondary objective of taking down the fuel truck. So we might set an explosive charge, and maybe we'll come back over here. So pull back to safe distance, and still taking some fire from somewhere. I'm guessing it's somewhere over there, probably towards the main entrance on the east side. I'm gonna go ahead and set off our bomb. Boom. We get a task. Now you'll notice that says task created and then task completed. Destroy fuel truck. And we also didn't see it on the map initially as a task. Okay, I'll show you exactly why that occurred. Okay, so then once we've completed our primary and secondary objectives, we're good. Maybe at that point we get into a truck and we make our way back down to our exfiltration. We get back to our boat, head back out to sea, and we are mission complete. Okay, so you start to see your mission starting to take shape in some interesting ways. So why don't we take a look and see why we did not have the fuel truck um, pop up like we wanted it to. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is kind of look at our scenario flow here. So this is the trigger for the bad guy. So here for the fuel truck, you can see we got something wrong here. Um, and it's always possible when I copied it from the other mission and pasted it in here, it messed up. So you'll see here on the bad guy, the one that's working right, and how we discussed in that trigger example, we want the trigger to sync to the set task state and the set task state to connect to the create task. Or again, if you're thinking reverse, we want the create task to sync to the set task state to sync to the trigger. Here we don't have that going on. We have the trigger sync to both of these. Okay, so let's just remove these. You can just do that by highlighting, putting your cursor over the lines and hitting delete. Okay, so now we have our tasks, and I usually just like to redo it all. Okay, so in the case of this, we want our trigger to connect and sync to our set task state, our set task state to sync to our create task. Okay, so that should fix your issue now. Okay, if you ever see any issues, you might have to kind of go back and diagnose them in that way. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now, for the sake of those of you downloading this mission and trying it out on your own, I'm going to give both shooters that I've placed in this mission a little better gear to take down this objective. This one little gun here is not cutting it, and I'm going to add some extra explosive charges on the second character. Let's give these guys some guns with a little bit more punch. We'll do we'll give us, what are they using now? Using the MX. All right, well, the MX might be fine. We'll stick with that, but we might give a few more clips for that. Okay, so that's one. And then remember, and to alter these guys' loadouts, I'm just right-clicking here and going to edit loadout. For him, now he's carrying the MX as well. We're going to give him something a little different. We're going to give him, let's look at what we have here. We're going to give him, remember, you can give them anything. You can give them enemy weapons and whatnot. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to give him something a little bit more interesting. We're going to give him, actually, you know what? We'll stick with the MX, but we're going to give him the one with the grenade launcher, something with a little punch just in case it's necessary. We will give him some extra magazines and then a few 40 mics to take in with him. He's already got some explosives, so he should be good to go too. So again, we got two playable characters here, perfectly set up for you and your buddy to try out this mission. Two objectives. Now we know where we're starting. You remember we put these mission start and the exfiltration mark. We put those down when we were doing the mission planning phase. We don't need that anymore. We know where we're starting. We know where we're exfilling. So now we have an objective area that contains two objectives. Primary objective is to take down the commander. Secondary objective is to destroy the fuel truck. We have a small little scenario up here where we will insert by land via this small Zodiac boat. We will push up here. We will sweep and clear this first hostile in this building and take the intel. Hopefully the mission flow is starting to kind of make some sense. Oops, let me go back here. I just want to, for ease of use, kind of take the document, move it a little bit. I'll go ahead and hit save. So hopefully this is starting to make sense. In episodes 1 and 2, we sketched out our mission just by placing markers and scouting locations. Now we have, in episode 3, we started placing down hostiles, making patrols, setting down our playable units, and starting to build some stuff. In episode 4, we've set down some very basic 101 level objectives, a primary and a secondary. Okay, and we've got essentially a mission scenario now. In episode 5, we're going to go over intros, mission end triggers, stuff like that, as well as some more advanced scenarios and kind of functions that you can build into your mission. Maybe we'll place a minefield surrounding this, or maybe we'll place some random patrols. As a matter of fact, maybe we'll place a patrol now. So right now, when you take down this first objective and you learn the location of the enemy forces, it's kind of a long journey here without much going on. One quick and easy way we can solve that is by going to up here in our assets window, go to compositions. So you'll see that's the 3 people icon. Going to op 4, and maybe we grab like maybe we grab just like an assault squad or a patrol team, right? A 4-man patrol team. Just set them anywhere in between the objective area and the start area. And what you can do is click on them and then just hold down your left shift button and right click and set some waypoints for them. I like to always double click on the first waypoint and set them to safe mode and walk. That way they'll just casually be walking and patrolling. And honestly, just set some random patrol points here. Okay, just make it to where they're kind of patrolling this whole area. Um, and then maybe they walk back up the valley and walk over here. Then after you set a bunch of waypoints by holding shift and right clicking, you can always go near your first waypoint, put another one, and then double click on that last waypoint and set the cycle. And when you do that, you'll see it automatically connects to your first one, and they'll just keep on this patrol path on a loop. Again, you want to randomize some of it, just double click on it and do the placement radius, set a radius for it. So 100, maybe 100 meters. Maybe this one here is 150 meters, etc. So you're kind of randomizing exactly where they'll be so that even you as the mission maker don't know where they're at. So I'm going to save this current mission in its current state and upload that along with that triggers example so you have both of them to work from. But yeah, appreciate you joining us for episode 4 of the ARMAnet tutorial series. Hopefully this is starting to take shape in your mind and you're starting to see a little bit how even a simple scenario can come together. I want to send a thanks out to people that have placed comments in the previous videos, constructive and positive critique. I appreciate the positive and constructive critique. Negative critique and feedback is something I won't respond to, just won't do it. There are 1,000 people out there with 1,000 different ideas on how to build missions and how to link up scenarios, how to set triggers, how to script things in. We're going to get into a lot of that, but that is the goal of this tutorial series, is for basic mission building with someone who has never opened the Eden editor before. Okay, so for those of you out there that know how to build missions, that leave comments, just remember that you need to think about this in terms of someone never opening Eden before. That's why I'm taking a very simplistic approach. That being said, I do appreciate all the feedback left in the previous videos, both positive and constructive. So I appreciate you guys doing that. And if you want additional information or options in terms of accomplishing some of the goals we go over, definitely check out those comments. Some of the people are leaving alternate ways of doing things that could also help. We'll also are going to get into things like an initialization in an SQF file and a description file, and we're going to get into the attributes of a mission. We're going to get into respawn, how your respawn system works, and many other things. We'll get into weather and some weather conditions and whatnot. We're going to get into all that. We're going to take this in small bite-sized chunks. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining us. This has been the ARMAnet tutorial series, and I have been your host, Dagger. Stay tuned. In the next week or two, we will get episode 5 out so that you can continue your first-time build. And again, I sincerely hope this tutorial series is helping you and your friends enjoy ARMA in ways that maybe you hadn't previously. All right, stay tuned for the next episode of ARMAnet tutorials.